These dark theories and mysteries player cannot unsolved in Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 10, Armadillo. Armadillo is a place that's located out in New Austin that appeared in Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. Here's a backstory. In the beginning scene in Red Dead Redemption 1, John has been taken into the McFarland Ranch and now wants a job to become a sheriff or a bounty hunter. He goes to the sheriff's office to apply a job. So here's another story in Red Dead Redemption 2. There's been a weird cause of the plague, and there's that many people have gotten sick, and now it's all affecting over the whole place. The only place you can go inside is basically either the train station, the shop, the saloon, or the sheriff's office. Those are the only places you can go in Red Dead Redemption 2. And also, once that, there's been other theories. People have found out that this was actually the Strange Man theory, which people have found out he caused this. Here's also, that's not all. What when every time you come back up, come to through Austin, you'll see this guy holding pamphlets and a bell saying "Plague, plague, we got plague back in town." What that means, he's trying to tell people to stay away from the place in order to not get the plague. Once that John goes up to him and tells him about the plague, he offers him a pamphlet, which I'll show you here. He basically gives him a pamphlet talking about the cholera, and it means saying do not drink any water which has not been previously boiled. This is not a great time to talk about this. And here's the guy right here who is just standing out there getting people to stay away from the plague. Number 9, Fort Mercer. Fort Mercer is a fort that's located out in New Austin that's close to Armadillo. Fort Mercer was basically a location for Del Lobo gangs to hide their stash, and used to run by Bill Williamson. Here's a backstory. After John hears that Bill Williamson is working for the Del Lobo gangs, and including Javier Escuela, John wants him to stop this so that he will become friends again. Instead of making peace, he starts shooting him. But that's not all. In Red Dead Redemption 2, you can actually come up and you can actually kill all the Del Lobo gang members. And they're also armed with Gatling guns. There's also some money you can actually take. So that's really not that great. Number 8, Thieves Landing. Thieves Landing is the location out in New Austin. You're about to enter New Austin. Thieves Landing is a location of Del Lobo's gang's hideout that they hide out so that they won't get crossed by that border of the outlaw gang. Well, whether that also appeared in Red Dead Redemption 1. And it turns out that this used to be an old clubhouse for people who gamble, and also used to be a restaurant where they have boats to eat on. Well, Del Lobo people gang is basically trying to convince people to not go near their place or they will get shot down. But the player has the option either go to the boat, which has treasure in the bottom. This is not the great time I was expecting. Number 7, El Presidio. El Presidio is a fort that's located in Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, just across the border of Mexico, of New Austin. It appeared in Red Dead Redemption 1, which is basically guarded by all the Del Lobo gang members. And in Red Dead Redemption 2, this is what it looks like now. There's no way you couldn't go near New El Presidio. But there's one thing. To do this, you have to take your horse and glitch it on top of a mount rock. And the main part you have to fight your horse in order to get up there. Once after that, the player has the option to go through El Presidio. But the main part is there's nothing in there. It's just a glitch. You can actually go inside, there's nothing in there but just a building. But there is one thing. You can actually see a hole right there where it says for trains passing. And that's the hole right there. There used to be a lot of locations out in Red Dead Redemption 1. but I'm pretty sure that El Presidente or Rockstar is gonna make something for this new update. Number 6, Landon Ricketts. Landon Ricketts is a gunslinger who appeared in Red Dead Redemption 1. Basically, John meets Landon Ricketts after he knows that he wants to become a gunslinger as well. Where's the story? You can actually find a Landon Ricketts cigarette card just anywhere. So basically, while you meet Landon Ricketts, he invited to play cards with them. Just after when John knows that the person beside him named Andreas Mahler, who says, "You fucking cheat," because he thinks that John cheated by looking at his cards. By that, Mahler had dressed John to do a duel with him. After that, Landon Ricketts said, let's go get a drink," but Mahler's buying. Do you think Landon Ricketts can be appeared into part 2? I wish he can. Number 5, the Sun Worshipper. You can actually find a worshipper who just praises the sun. Just in New Austin, you can see this guy just praising the sun. And this guy looks right here cannot be just seen. Like, he has red marks all over his body. How long do you think he has to be sitting out in the sun? You can actually interact with him. And the main part, he just worships the sun. People have found this is one of the worshippers that used to be used for the Chelonians, or people think this is Jesus himself. I'm not really sure exactly of why they're trying to mention this guy, but you think Rockstar is going to put some effort into this conspiracy theory? Number 4, the Treehouse. Everybody knows this is a weird theory, but as soon as you walk and about to enter New Austin, you could discover a tree and a house with a person saying "go away." This is called a tree hermit. A hermit is somebody who doesn't leave their house and mostly lives at home. Basically, John basically expects this here. Basically, if you're playing as John, you discover a tree house and you'll see a guy telling you to go away. The reason why he's living in the tree house is because that people think that he's crazy. According to this, he has a cleft lip, and people have found out that he's actually weird. You can actually have the option to shoot the treehouse, which lets the guy go, and you can actually shoot him until he's dead. The only thing you can loot him is basically just like health, food for your health. I have no idea of why this guy's been living inside of this tree, but I have no right. Number 3, the house blown up. This is also one of these strange theories that Red Dead Redemption fans need questions about. Just when you're about to enter another site of New Austin, you will come across this house right here, which is a house used to make remedies and drugs. Basically, just after that, a player or something goes up. If you come up to this, the house basically explodes. Either a person is trying to take their own life because they don't want to do this no more, or an experiment gone wrong. Once that, the player has an option to investigate, which is supposed to be like a looted chest that basically reminds them of something. Many players suggest that this is actually an Easter egg. But players have found this is actually a mystery has been solved inside of this. I'll show you this video by Mr. Boss for the win. We will go on the Twitter and we will find out what's going on. Here's the YouTube video of how the house is blown up.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here. And if you guys are curious, we are actually in Cholla Springs. Now, forgive the fact that the map suddenly explodes. It just blows up, and then it's left to nothing but a bunch of fire that erupts and the house sort of collapses in on itself. And this was a big mystery to me when I came across this for the first time, and it's still kind of a mystery right now. Now, another thing that I learned from this is, and this is completely separate from the mystery, but the temperature thing you have when you hit like down on the D-pad is dynamic. So for example, when I got close to that fire, the temperature actually raised up to like 106 degrees. And as I got further away, it slowly cooled down. That's kind of cool. I've never known that before. So the first thing we can actually gather here is a lockbox that I would imagine was either blown away from the fire. And there's three things we can get in here. We can get high velocity rifle cartridges, which are cool. And we can also get an explosive slug pamphlet and repeater cartridges, high velocity. So this explosive slug ammo is quite valuable, and it's a pamphlet that allows us to learn the recipe. And in case you guys are curious, it says explosive slug. Rendered animal fat is specifically useful for cooking, waterproofing clothing, making soaps, or candles. When applied into a shotgun shell, the result is a highly explosive ammunition useful in various altercations and perceived interactions. So what you need is a shotgun slug animal fat, and then you need to let the animal fat render, pack into the shotgun slug, and then you need to seal it, and you need to store it in a dry place. However, there is a fireproofing tip at the bottom. That was a massive...
Let me skip that
seems
part.
to be our answer. If this guy had a pamphlet in here, you would assume that's what he was doing. However, it doesn't seem to add up. Number one, that was a massive explosion. And if you fire these shotgun slugs, they are explosive, but not in that degree where it just blows up an entire house. And number two, if it's a scientist like this, you feel like they wouldn't have any problem putting animal fat into a shotgun slug. And the only way in which it would have been, activated or ignited if heat was applied to it, which would have been a horrible accident. Now, that any base material, such as copper, turn it into an explosive. How?
Okay, we might have found our answer to this. So, whether a scientist is trying to make an explosive shotgun slug, the main part is that they must take the only thing to use is the animal fat, which is basically has a high enough of grease, which you get enough heat resource from the shotgun slug being put into gunpowder. The main part is probably because of the boiler. He probably was working with the boiler, and the house probably exploded. This is another theory that players have need to know something. Number two, the flying machine. Just back in the early 1500s, Italian polymath Leonardo da Vinci had created a flying machine for people to fly around the whole city of Italy. But there is a discovery you can actually make. There's over a couple of flying machines that's also located. There's an airship, and there's the flying machine. Just in New Austin, you can discover that in New Austin you could find this, which is basically a flying machine. You can actually examine it, and you can actually find a body, which has basically been buried, which is basically like, I think this is a Chinese flying machine. And it says here the person who invented it is named Charles Kinnear, which is the person who created. I'm gonna look that up. Charles Kinnear. Okay, here it is. This is Charles Kinnear. Charles Kinnear has basically appeared in Red Dead Redemption, who was the inventor of flying machines. But the main part is, how is this unsolved? So anyways, after we found the flying machine, after the flying machine you examine it, you can actually find a person who's dead. And basically, you can actually take the hat, which is the Chinese cap. Number one, the lost